just sprayed freaking cheap beer all over the microphone
Dude,
screen.
we didn't do the intro last episode.
Yes, we did.
Did we?
Oh, hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast. I don't think we did it last episode.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't do that part.
Can you edit that back in?
No.
Okay,
It's
fine.
too late. Everyone knows. If they're watching, they know who we are. Maybe I'll put a little caption in there.
Nah, don't worry about
when
it.
I edit it.
Just to make it goofy.
Yeah. This first ad, I should have had pulled up if I was prepared.
This first ad was sent by Joey Jaworski. Finished up the latest Bluegill Telecaster last night. This one turned out really, I'm telling you, there's a bunch of these. I've seen these before.
You've seen them.
This one turned out really good. Thanks again, Andrew Robertson, for the hand-wound pickups. They sound incredible as they always do. Yes, real bluegill fish, taxidermied. No, they won't rot. Here's a question I have. No, I guess they would. I was going to say, like, if this is coated in resin, wouldn't they not rot anyway? But, like, anything, bacteria that's on the inside would work its way out.
But from my understanding, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, in the comments down below. Taxidermied fish is not the actual fish. They take a mold of the fish and they make like a plaster version of it, and then they paint it. Like
Really?
it's not actually the fish when you have a fish converted to a trophy,
Oh.
because it would shrivel up and look really awful. I mean, you end up destroying the fish in the process. Like, you're not going to eat that fish, that trophy fish
Right.
that you caught, because it's going to be all old and dank after, been sitting in a ceramic mold or plaster mold for, however long it takes. But I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. I could be super wrong, but that's what I've always heard. Every time I've seen a trophy fish on the wall of a log cabin, I take a close look at it and I don't think that's the real fish.
I love how translucent everything is. I don't feel like normally when you see resin guitars like this that there's that much translucence.
You mean transparent or translucent?
Translucent.
Translucent.
So it's like the top is transparent, but then even from the back.
Oh,
like,
okay,
it's
yeah.
There's
Because they
translucence.
put that sparkly stuff in there to make it look like water.
Well, no. So I don't even mean that. I'm saying how it's like see-through.
Right. The see-through part is transparent.
No, it's still translucent.
All right.
It's just not opaque,
Okay.
right?
Transparent is when you can see. I mean, nothing is fully transparent. You can see the atmosphere if you can look through it long enough.
I got to look this up. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure we're describing the same thing in different ways.
Translucent is like light can pass through it, but you can't see
Right.
through it. Like, transparent is you can see through it. You can see the fish in this, so it's transparent. But the back end of it is translucent.
Yes, the front is transparent. The back is translucent.
Yes. It's a combination of the various
Yeah.
trans that you can do with
Yeah.
light and light passing through things. I usually crap all over resin guitars.
I know.
I kind of like this. I think this is fun. This is like taking the concept and doing something silly with it. Kind of fun, kind of neat to look at. Even though it does like the opalescent kind of shimmery stuff, it's balanced by the goofiness of the fish included in the guitar body, alongside, a piece of driftwood as part of, the guitar. It's a Telecaster shape. It looks like it's got some really beefy hardware on there.
Yeah, that I'm trying to figure out what bridge that is. Apparently it's a Fender bridge, but
It looks
I
ridiculous.
don't think I've seen one like that.
I'm not a huge fan of super like figured maple on necks like that, but I think it works with this concept. I would much rather, though, have some piranhas in there. Make me a piranha guitar, maybe put a little blood in the resin, make it look like they're eating, put a bone in there,
Oh my gosh.
put piranhas and like part of a big old bone in there, and the piranha's like chomping on it. Oh man, I'm in. Whoever made this thing, if you're listening to this because someone told you that we were going to crap on your guitar, we're not crapping on your guitar. I think it's cool. Make a piranha one and put a bone in it.
Piranhas don't even like, they're not even like that attacky.
They're not that
a myth.
bad. They're not that bad. I mean, they will chomp you to the bone in like 20 seconds, but they're not that bad. No, I think it's one of those things where every now and then someone gets chomped by them, or a goat or a cow gets chomped by them, and it establishes the myth. But I think most of the time they're just a scared fish, like any other scared fish.
Yeah, I feel like that's basically what I've heard. I think this is like the Telecaster Pro bridge, maybe.
It's pretty serious looking.
I don't know why I care so much.
Steve really cares about this bridge. I think it's funny that, you know, the top part of the guitar is so clear, so transparent, Steve.
Yes.
That you can see the screws for the strap button and for the output jack.
That was a trip too. I think that's a really nice touch.
Yeah. I wonder how long it will retain that shine to it with regular use. Like eventually it's going to get a little murky, and a lot of resin stuff. And maybe modern resins aren't as bad, but resin yellows over time.
Yeah.
So I wonder how this will look in 20, 30 years, if it'll look like a piece of like milky amber, or if it'll still look clear like this. Also, I'm pretty sure that even if it gets milky and scratched up, you could hit it with a buffing wheel and get it back to shiny if it does get messed up. So there is always that. A fun one would be like a coiled up rattlesnake, like coiling around the bridge of the guitar and out.
Oh,
That would be fun.
how about like a zebra? Can you fit a
A
whole?
whole zebra in there. Steve dreams big. Steve has got that big imagination tonight. What if you made a guitar out of nothing but an entire colony of bees? Just a bunch of bees and resin.
Is that even legal? I feel like that wouldn't even be legal.
People would be pretty pissed off that you killed a bunch of
Yeah.
bees.
Um,
Butterflies,
fish, obviously. Oh,
people
butterflies would be cool.
people are always doing butterfly wall art.
Yeah.
Maybe putting butterflies in resin would look cool.
Just do a whole, just like keep this on theme and do the water thing and just have it be like a couple salamanders and a frog.
Like a
Just hanging
swamp.
out.
You know what would look cool? Like continue like the whole like diorama sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the bottom of the guitar is like the bottom of the pond, and you've got different kinds of animals up there. And as it goes up, you get different kinds of animals all the way through. And so you've got worms at the very bottom, and then like little crabs and shells and stuff, and maybe a crawdad. And then you've got, you know, some bottom fish, and then some top fish, and like some seaweed going through, some underwater plants. Like maybe like a tropical fish theme, like the bottom of it is coral, and then it goes up through a few different animals.
I'm thinking instead of doing it that way, you build multiple guitars and each guitar is a different layer. And so when they don't really make sense. I mean, they all kind of like look cool on their own, but when you put them all on your wall, it
all
like
lines up.
blows your mind.
Yeah, like this is art. This is animal art.
Yeah.
A lot of dead animals are inside these guitars.
You killed a lot of animals to build these guitars.
Or you could make a guitar out of like that plasticized human flesh from those road shows with the skinless people.
Uh-huh.
How about a guitar made out of plasticized human flesh, guys?
That's like the whole thing where people, you know, they think when they donate their body to science that it's going to like pharmaceutical companies to do like research and whatever, but really they're just being turned into medical models.
What's happening is your body's being sent to a Mythbusters team, and they're just shooting you into a wall out of a cannon to see how you disintegrate. I've always wanted to donate my body to cinema, if it's possible to do that.
What does that mean?
I want to be one of the greasy mummies in an Indiana Jones movie. He's going through like a cavern or something, and a little greasy mummy falls down on him, and there's a whole moment of like, gross, it's touching me. Like, I want my great grandkids to be like, there's Grandpa.
You want to be the model for like one of the zombies in The Walking Dead.
Sure.
It's like, that one sure looks a lot like Ryan.
Yeah, he really died, and then they did like a mold of his face, and that's like the zombie mask you can buy now.
Well, why does it look just like he looked when he was alive?
Not too bad. He kind of looked like that most of his life. So
he's actually a lot less pink now and looks much better.
Well, it's a good airbrush job, you know. Any sort of like, I mean, we talked about various animals and different concepts here. Would you like to see this done with a different guitar shape, or is Telecaster the thing?
I think for like the fish like this, Telecaster actually makes it really work.
Well, I think they've definitely got to do a bass guitar.
Well, then you could definitely like cover more things in there.
Well, you could put a bass in there.
Oh
Do the
my
whole
God.
bass bass.
Oh, that's
Too far?
ugh.
I mean, you could have a freshwater bass bass and a saltwater bass bass. There's a lot of different kinds of basses you could put in that bass bass.
All right.
I would like a trout one. I love trout
Trout base.
as a pet and as food. I wish I could have a trout as a pet.
Just put a trout
that'd
out
be weird.
just put a trout in your pond back there.
I think they need moving water.
You got a little waterfall.
That's not enough. We're talking about a water feature in my backyard.
I don't
that
think
have
they
goldfish in.
Now there probably isn't enough room in there, but I don't know if they need that much moving water because there's lake trout.
That's true. There is lake trout.
Which I'm not saying there's enough room in your backyard.
There are pond trout. You're right. You're right. I've fished for trout out of ponds and lakes.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna live my dreams. I'm gonna live my dream, Steve. I'm gonna get a pet trout.
Do it, dude.
I bet if I got little fingerling trouts, they could get big enough that I could harvest them and eat them out of that water feature. They would probably eat all my other goldfish in there, but that's part of the fun, right? It'd probably be pretty swampy tasting.
Yeah, there's no way it's gonna taste good.
Yeah.
It's probably not. You're probably leaching chemicals into that thing.
When I had that busted hot tub in the backyard that came with the house, I was trying to convince Lauren to let me turn it into a tilapia pond to farm fish.
That's bad, dude.
You think that's a bad idea? All right. Anything new, Steve?
I don't have anything new, man.
Yeah, me
You got
either.
anything new?
Sad,
guess we're moving
boring
on.
lives over here.
Speaking of sad, boring lives, this week we are reviewing Van Halen's, I believe, debut album.
Yeah, super
Van Halen.
bummer of an album, not party music at all. Not at all feel good music. I'm saying that sarcastically because
Did you take notes on this?
of course I did.
I
take notes every time.
So I didn't take notes because I just was like completely swamped while listening to this, and I could not like do three things at once. But the one thing that I did note for this whole, well, actually, I had a few different notes. I'm trying to find the full, song list. There we go. Self-titled debut. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat, actually just listening through, is like, I don't know if I could not confirm that I actually have, but I felt like I've heard every single song off this album before.
I think I've heard the vast majority of them. That was one of my notes, is I've heard most of this. Even though I haven't listened to this album before, it's just one of those things like, there's a lot of good Van Halen songs. There just is. Like, neither of us are like, like Van Halen fanboys. Like, we don't put them at the top of our list for, music that's influential on us or anything like that. But you cannot deny these are just fun songs.
Yeah.
Like, these are fun, listenable songs, like party songs. These are like, you put these in a movie and you're having a great time. Like, you're feeling just like positive vibes. You're entertained. Like, if you saw this music at a show, you would just be like, I'm having a blast right now. This is incredible. Like, you cannot deny that this is fun music.
Yeah.
I think there's a really like important balance. I kept taking notes on this, and maybe I'll sum it up better right now. There's a really important lesson to be learned from the well-known like Van Halen singles and stuff like that.
Right.
And everyone who's like a huge Van Halen nerd is trying to do just all this guitar shreddy stuff, all this guitar virtuoso stuff. And you're missing the thing that makes these songs great, is that they're songs.
Yeah.
They're not, the genre isn't guitar. There just happens to be guitar in it. Like, the genre is freaking fun rock song that anyone can listen to. Like, it's not just for guitarists. It's like everyone can enjoy these, And I think a lot of people who idolize Van Halen are missing that part of the recipe.
I think you do, and for better or worse. Like, I think at this point, people will go to their shows and
like, you can take your party aunt to go see Van Halen, and it doesn't matter that she doesn't care anything about guitar at all. She's gonna have a great freaking time.
Right. But the flip side of that is, I know for a while, like the big complaint with Van Halen is that, you go to a show, it's 3 hours long, and there's at least an hour spread out of that of just 10 to
Is there
20
deedling
minute solos. So, there is that.
I mean, you're hanging out by maybe not a show, but you're hanging out at the pool party. You throw on Van Halen. Spuds McKenzie, the dog's going to show up with a 30 pack of Budweiser, and it's going to be an immediate party.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Let me see if I have any notes that mean anything as I went through. This more on what I already said. I wrote, Atomic Punk feels out of place. It's funny to listen to older albums and hear the place where you realize you've entered the B-side. Like, I felt like there was a clear B-side line right in the middle of this where all of a sudden it shifted. And then I made a couple other notes. I said there's a real Black Sabbath influence in Atomic Punk. Like,
I can hear that.
I started to get, beer burp. I started to pick up on influences on the back end of the album.
Yeah.
Where at the front end on the singles and stuff like that, it sounds like
it's Van Halen.
It's Van Halen. It's a pure Van Halen, and you don't hear the influences coming through so much. I wrote, On Fire is a surprise. Never heard this one. It goes in almost Led Zeppelin direction. There was I mixed up the placement of my notes. Little Dreamer sounds like they were trying to compete for radio space next to Aerosmith.
Yeah. And then Ice Cream Man is just like a classic blues track.
Well, it starts off that way.
Well, I mean, it goes Van Halen fully, but I feel like that kind of shows the breadth. But
So this is my note on Ice Cream Man. Sorry to cut you off and interrupt you the way I always do.
How dare you?
Ice Cream Man is supposed to be a euphemism for sex.
Really?
But I think he actually wants to be an ice cream man. Like, he really knows a lot about ice cream men. Like it's like the details were there. Like, he is spending a lot of time thinking about being an actual ice cream man.
Gosh.
Like, it's more than a euphemism. Like, this is a fantasy for him. This is a career goal. Like, he actually wants to scoop ice cream, guys.
So that one's a cover. I don't.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, whoever wrote that wants to be an ice cream man. Like, it sounds like you want to bone down, but I think you just want to sling scoops. I'm not convinced.
That was like the great blues songs, though, man. You're like, oh no, this guy's just talking about ice cream. Ice cream's delicious.
Yeah, because he had to code everything to, be able to be shelvable in a store.
This is where Van Halen fans are probably going to get agitated. Because
here we go.
I'm going to say a thing.
Here we go.
And that thing is that I went through their discog, and did they really only? I'm not gonna say they only had 2 hit albums, but were all of their singles concentrated on 2 albums?
I think so.
Because
then they got into the '90s one with that new singer, and no one liked any of that. I don't know any songs off of that one, anyways.
I'm looking at something.
Because it's like the two incarnations that people care about are David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar.
Right. And so I guess I don't know somebody else. That's another one. I guess I'm looking at it and
like Sammy Hagar is like the late 80s keyboard version of Van Halen.
Didn't they cover California Girls at some point?
Probably.
I'm not seeing. Did they not release it as this? Oh yeah. So I mean, I guess it's not all. They always have their covers, but I guess what I'm looking at is You Really Got Me, Running with the Devil, Jamie's Crying. To me, those were the songs that I knew right away.
Right.
From this one. And then I go to Van Halen 2. I don't know those. I don't know those songs. Fair Warning. I don't know any of those songs. Pretty Woman off of Diver Down. Otherwise, I don't know anything. And then 1984 has Jump in Panama, Hot for Teacher.
Right.
And then after that, I'm I don't think I know any other. I'm probably, I'm sure I've heard them, but it's
yeah. No, after a certain point, like I'm sure there's plenty of albums, but it just kind of like they disappear into deeper fandom. They're not radio hits anymore because the 90s happened.
You know what? They didn't cover California Girls, because David Lee Roth covered California Girls.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm thinking of. Cover versions, David Lee Roth, 1984.
There you go.
So that's why
solved the mystery, Steve.
Solved my own mystery. But anyway, that's not like a take on Van Halen. I'm sure like all their albums are probably really good.
Oh, the best. The top shelf,
It's just
Steve.
interesting that like in my brain, like the big Van Halen is really just these 2 albums from the 80s. And then after that, it's just kind of like, oh, they have more stuff. I mean, I guess they have more stuff.
Yeah. Maybe we should have listened to the 90s one with that other singer.
Oh my gosh.
I forget his name. Like they got like a grungy looking dude.
I'm trying to see if
Dead
I can
Air.
find it. No, I'm just trying.
Dead Air.
Let's see. There was the David Lee Roth era was until 1985. Sammy Hagar from 85 to 96. And then in the 90s, is it the Gary Sharon era?
Right. Yeah. I couldn't remember his name. I don't know any of those songs, but I know that people hated it.
I mean, and like I said, I know like, between the Roth era and the Sammy Hagar era, there's a lot of like splits and whatever. And I guess like, I think David Lee Roth, Van Halen is the only Van Halen I'm like familiar with at all. I don't know.
You're not familiar with any Hagar?
I was born in the 80s, so I don't like. I never went
me
back.
too, dude.
I never went back to listen to music that was made before I was born. Why would I
but
do
Van
that?
Halen, like in their peak, was popular into the early 90s.
Ryan, have you ever listened to music that was made before you were born?
Yes. Have you ever listened to music that was made after you were dead?
Maybe. I don't know if I
That
have.
sounds like something that someone would think was really deep when they said it, but then like the rest of the room is like, that's really stupid.
There's probably like 2 or 3 Radiohead albums that we think were made in like the early 2000s, but were actually made in like the late 2050s and sent to the early 2000s.
It's going to be a plot point in the new Bill and Ted movie. When that comes out, we've got to be there opening night and we have to immediately go podcast.
All right. When is it coming out? We'll figure it out.
I think it's coming out later this year, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's coming out this year.
All right.
We've got to make an event out of it.
Okay. Let's do it.
Bill and Ted 3, 60 cycle hum, exclusive coverage.
Oh my gosh.
Let's sneak a phone in, and we'll be the only person in the theater live stream, like watching it, and then the only person who cares enough to live stream it. It's going to be a big commercial success. It's going to change the way movies are made. It's going to outsell The Matrix 4. Keanu Reeves.
Well, yeah.
Keanu Reeves is going to have
I can't believe they're making The Matrix
couple
4.
years.
All right. My biggest takeaway from this with Van Halen is like, I think every once in a while I'm going to have to come back and just listen to a random Van Halen album.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just like, regardless, like, yeah, the virtuosity is there and the music is definitely like very like technical, but it's not, like you said, like it's really fun.
It's fun party music.
And I definitely, sometimes I need to turn, like, I think of like listening to like chill ambient music as like the kind of shutting my brain down. But this is a different kind of shutting your brain down that's like re-energizing.
Well, it's the kind of shutting your brain down where you're letting your dick take over. There we go. We got a mature rating on this episode.
We may never release another. I've thought about just making explicit the default setting.
Yeah, this is not a kid's show anymore because I keep saying dick.
That's what happens when you have diabetes.
Is that what caused it? I found out I had diabetes and everything went out the window. Like, I've got nothing left to live for now. Well, I think there's just with Van Halen, there's just a really smart balance between stuff that is going to get guitarists excited and just there being a hot slapping song that everyone can enjoy listening to.
Right.
Like the guitar doesn't distract from the pop nature of the song. They just pop. So good
Have
job,
you ever
Van
thought
Halen.
about taking songs and then doing the opposite of that song? Like, I guess it's pretty acceptable, though it's still kind of weird that when you think about that well, no, I guess they did. Van Halen, of course, wrote Hot for Teacher, but then I realized The Police Don't Stand Too Close to Me is basically The Police writing Hot for Student.
Yeah.
So there went that idea.
Maybe they're singing about each other. Is Sting singing about David Lee Roth? And is David Lee Roth singing about Sting?
This needs to be the plot of a movie.
This needs to be a Black Velvet, like neon painting. Sting and David Lee Roth.
Oh, when you said Black Velvet, I thought you were just going to be like
embracing each other under a black light.
There needs to be a third song that's in the style of Black Velvet that's about David Lee Roth and Sting.
Teacher meets student. They each have a song. This is hot. This is hot. This is slash fic right here.
Yeah. It's a good thing neither of us know how to write.
And it's a good thing neither of us are horny enough to write that particular piece of fanfic.
Speak for yourself.
Oh man, I gotta get on this. This is really gonna blow up the internet forum I'm part of.
Yeah. You ready to pick up this tab?
I'm ready. Pick up the tab, Steve.
This week's tab is picked up by Chase Bliss Audio. They make pedals more creative than you are with a digital brain and an analog heart. Whether you want a delay, a sweet, sweet reverb, a chorus,
I love my Dark World.
a looper, a granular looper.
They got two kinds of loopers to choose from, guys.
What do they actually call the Condor? I always forget.
The Condor is kind of like an EQ preamp.
There you go,
drive,
EQ preamp.
Filter. It's a Swiss Army knife. It does so much ridiculous stuff.
You got the Brothers.
Yeah, it's for all your dirt needs. It's got fuzzes and overdrives and distortions on there.
Basically anything that you'd want except a flanger. Maybe that's just because nobody wants a flanger.
Well, I think that's what happened. They had the Spectre, and then not enough people bought it. So like, you know what? Never again.
Bye-bye.
Never again will we make a flanger.
Yeah. So anyway,
Or
go
a
check out
flanger.
ChaseBlissAudio.com. They've got a great lineup of pedals that have a really good basic core sound, and then just all the bells and whistles that you would ever want.
I think about the amount of bells and whistles you expect.
That was supposed to be the end of the ad, Ryan.
They go way beyond. Buckets of bells. Bags of whistles. It's over the top. All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, this topic was sent in by somebody. Ryan took a screenshot of it.
I did. I will find it in a quick moment. There it is. Christopher Freeman asks, the philosophical idea of treating pedals and amps as instruments and not just the extension of an instrument. What do you think about this, Steve? Are your pedals and amps instruments beyond being an extension of your long guitar or your regular size guitar?
I would say it's actually interesting, but as maligned as they are for overuse, like I think that's kind of the idea behind swells. And I know it's different for everybody, but
like if you think about it, like if you stack a slow volume pedal with a bunch of delays and reverbs to make pad sounds.
Yeah.
You're really just you're going a long way as a roundabout way to making a synth.
Right. Well, so whenever I would do like bass, almost always, because you got to get the volume up. It's kind of tricky to like nail the attack.
Yeah.
So whenever I would use a bass, do swells on bass, I would always have some kind of either like high gain distortion or fuzz.
Yeah.
In front of, so fuzz or high gain distortion. So
you got to turn it into a square wave. My
Big Ear Woodcutter was really great for this, and then run that into a volume pedal, and then you have the delay after to like lengthen it out. Excuse me, and I always thought like that was like, oh, I'm kind of like, I'm not at this point like I'm playing the bass, but I'm making cello sounds with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm making these long like continuous notes. Beyond that, though a lot of times I always think of it as vocal tools, because when you're playing guitar or bass or whatever, like you need two hands. But there are a lot of people who, you know, will have their pedal board up higher, like on like a short music stand or whatever, or on top of like a rack cabinet.
Sure. Like doing like the Reggie Watts thing.
Yeah, and like manipulating everything, like playing some notes and then manipulating or looping and manipulating the loop with different effects. And I feel like, you know, on the one hand, like that's kind of this gimmicky thing, but every once in a while I stumble
Hey man, you
on,
put it where you need it. Like
right. But I mean, like a lot of times it's just like, oh, I'm like, it's a noise thing.
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
it's noisy. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. But every once in a while I find a video where somebody's doing that and it's like completely like normally musical
Okay.
versus just being like crazy. That's always really cool.
When they're making listenable music with it instead of just making noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's
Do you think an amp? Because I think there's a strong argument that pedals a lot of times can be their own instruments. Like you think about like the Earthquake or arpeggiator or whatever it's called, arpanoid.
Arpanoid.
The arpanoid. Like it's kind of in that direction. Like there's like that pedal with the springs on it. It's kind of its own instrument, like the
Electrofaustus stuff.
The Electrofaustus stuff. The Electroharmonics random noise generator is its own instrument.
Yeah, it's not even a pedal.
But is there a case that an amp could be its own instrument? I think that's a little bit. I feel like the amp is an extension of whatever you have plugged into it.
The situation where it's not, and I guess in this case, it's not even really the amp is the instrument. It's what's in the amp that has become the instrument is reverb splash.
You cut me to my quicks.
Was that where you were going?
No, you beat me to the punch. I didn't even think that.
Yeah. So
I think that's. I don't know. It is interactive with your instrument though.
It is.
I think of something becoming an instrument when it becomes something much more than your instrument interacting with it. Like it's more than, because like with a nice drippy spring reverb, like it is interacting with your playing, with your dynamics.
Sure, but what I'm talking about is like I used to do this with the acoustic back here, and I used to do it with the Hot Rod Deluxe.
Oh, like if you kick it and crash
turn the reverb all the way up to 10. I used to take this acoustic, turn the reverb all the way up to 10, and then just go back on like some of the songs we'd do in like the morning class and just start punching the freaking amp.
No, I think in that case, I think if you're crashing the reverb, that is its own instrument.
It's
a
like
noise. It's a noisemaker. Yeah, totally. Man, I wondered why I had to pay to get that amp repaired. Now I know why.
What was wrong with it?
It's a 70 solid state amp. Something went bad.
I think it might be 60 solid state amp.
Whoa. That's an old one. That might be
maybe it's early 70s.
Might be the oldest thing in the room right now.
It's older than me, that's for sure.
My side tangent on this is whether or not you can classify a piece of gear as a standalone instrument or its own instrument or not. You definitely need to spend time practicing using and dialing in your pedals and your amps.
Well, and
like it's not enough to be like, oh, I know this part, just plug in and turn it on and be like, oh, whatever sound comes out. Like if you really want to get the most out of your drive pedals, out of like your crazy programmable delays or whatever, out of your really nice tube amp, like you need to put in the practice time to figure out where the sweet spots are, where those pieces of gear live, how they interact with each other, how you interact with them. Like it's like if I do a demo, like I spend like a day and a half doing nothing but playing with that pedal before I demo it, you know? Like, and even then I feel like I'm scratching the surface. Like you really got to get this stuff wired to be competent with it.
Yeah. I think that's like a lot of times that is a tricky thing. And you know, what you were talking about made me think about how like one of my early favorite guitar sounds that I made, that I was able to make was like running a wah into a delay. And then at some point I would only use it on like one or two songs, to do like very like synthy sounding stuff. And like, because the wah was just getting like these like really sharp, bright peaks, and then it'd just be like repeating like forever. And it's almost like, it's like a proto. What's that orange Earthquaker pedal that just goes like crazy? You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, which Earthquaker pedal are we talking about that goes crazy?
Shut up. All of them.
Yeah, they all go bananas.
We're just talking a lot about Earthquaker devices this
Well,
episode.
they do make wild stuff. They've never been a sponsor of anything we're doing, but I'd gladly, accept their money if they ever wanted to hire us to talk about them.
The spatial delivery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So that one is like you play a note and it just like cascades. And so I was getting like those kinds of sounds like between a wah and like a Dan Electro PB&J. And at some point I got tired of using wah in general. Oh no, actually I think that wah pedal I broke.
Of course.
The PCB like detached from the jacks. It was weird.
And you really tweaked that thing.
I don't know how it happened. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then, so I didn't have a wah for a long time. And whenever I got like the second wah, it was a Crybaby with the vocal mod.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was incapable of making the same sound. And I don't know if it was an issue. And this goes to the idea that you were saying, like, if you want to think about effects as instruments, you have to put as much work into those as you are like actually playing guitar. Because to this day, I was never able to like really figure out, and I stopped caring about that sound anyway. But like, was it that? No, I think the wah was because of the vocal mod didn't quite work for that. It was a little like the pitch was a little different. But even when I went back and got a regular like stock Crybaby, I just couldn't find that sound anymore. I was like,
where'd it go?
Was it all in my head? Was it just like that particular?
It was all a dream.
Was it just that particular wah with the delay, or like was it just that I'd been so long since I had done it, I wasn't able to find it again?
Right.
And it's just kind of like a weird, like thing to think about in the context of like, well, if you're like you said, instruments or effects as instruments or amps as instruments mean like there's an implicit relationship between that and like really learning how that thing works as an instrument.
Totally. So there you go. We nailed it. We answered your question.
Good job. We did it. This next ad was sent in by Rob Butterworth. It's a brand new custom guitar build. This is a complete new build guitar. Natural waxed body, lightweight maple with maple neck and fretboard. All done with gold color fittings, twin humbuckers, and one single pickups. Twin humbuckers and one... Ugh.
You can do it, Steve. I believe in
Lovely
you.
one-of-a-kind guitar just needs setting up now. Setting up to how you want for your own preference. So this is like some weird aftermarket neck?
Yeah, it's an aftermarket neck with a PRS ish headstock. Like I can't figure out why it looks so wonky. Oh, the D and the G tuners are super close together.
Yeah, I think it's.
I think the headstock is too wide, and the tuning pegs are too far into the center of it.
Yeah,
it looks. I could say really offensive things about how it looks, but it looks like it's having trouble.
The body is kind of
the body is a general strap body. It could be any strap body.
It's got HSH setup. It's got lots of skulls.
Well, it's got at least one skull. This is the second time, like 2 weeks ago, we saw this.
Yeah,
it's the skull strap buttons.
Strap button.
I'd never seen skull strap buttons before. Now I've seen it in like 2 recent episodes. It's definitely a sign that there's something wrong.
I've seen a few of these.
It's a cry for help.
I've seen a few of these like EG3, Silversky, whatever home builds, and they just always look not quite right.
You think the bird inlays are inlays on the neck, or you think they're like a sticker, like a decal?
I bet they're stickers.
Why would someone do this?
Because I don't know. What's this?
I mean, they won 125 pounds.
There's like a tiger on the back.
What is that like 150 US? Something like that?
I think it's like 200.
You think that's 200 even?
But
I don't think it's 200.
I've heard the
and then it's stupid like little aesthetic like extra things that don't add any desirability to this guitar, like the weird neck plate that looks like it has a tiger on it, and then the skull, strap buttons, the stupid bird stickers. Like PRS barely gets away with the bird thing.
Yeah,
they only get away with it because it's their thing.
Exactly.
The moment you do it on a guitar that's not a PRS, it's like, oh, come on. Like, don't do that. Like, if I was gonna do a PRS themed build, instead of birds, I would do like bats.
Well, and so
or I would do like fish or something like that.
What's weird too is, okay, 5th fret bird, okay, 3rd fret, okay, 5th, okay, 7th. Looks like we're going into a dive here. 8th, okay, or not 8th. 9th is okay. 12th is okay. 15th is okay. Everything past the 15th just looks like somebody took a Sharpie and like painted their like covered their hand in Sharpie, and then they just went just shoved like their thumb and like whatever smudged off. That's what that fret got.
Also, the look of this could be vastly improved by gold pickups.
Yeah.
To go with the rest of the gold hardware.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a little, I mean, maybe it's I would give a little bit to like the lighting doesn't help here. It isn't, certainly isn't doing any favors.
If you want to sell a $200 guitar, you need to invest at least $600 in lights.
That's true.
Get yourself $600 in lights, some nice LED panels, nothing too fancy, and then get yourself at least, you got to spend at least $1,000 on a camera. You just do. And then most of that's going to be the lens.
Do we have at least $600 of lights in here, Ryan?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Otherwise, I was going to say that's why people don't watch the show. Because you haven't invested enough in lights.
I use budget stuff. Like, there are some expensive lights out there. I went cheap. But they work.
Yep.
They do work. This is one of those things where it's like everything is just a little bit off and just looks like this isn't going to pass from 100 feet away.
Well, that's the thing is it's like
there's no brand confusion here.
If you are probably, I mean, I would hope this guy built this and then maybe he fell on hard times or I don't know, but it just seems like he's calling it a lovely one-of-a-kind guitar. It's like, yeah, but it's like it's not one of a kind because you did something cool. It's one of a kind because you probably bought a like 100-pound or
it's
whatever.
because you put random parts together.
You think this is random parts? I feel like this might be one of those like goofy Alibaba kits.
Kit build.
AliExpress kits.
Yeah, you could be right. It's too much for what he wants, though.
Yeah.
Unless like there's some sort of, history with that body, like saying like, oh, this is, like a really nice piece of wood from Warmoth or something like that.
No, you know what this body looks like to me is one of those Polonia strap bodies from GFS. That's not like a knock. Like no, I'm not saying
Polonia is a nice wood.
I'm not saying this guitar cannot be a good playing guitar. I'm just saying it's just a very meh looking guitar.
In US dollars, what would you pay? My gut says 75. That's just to get the body and the pickups and maybe the gold hardware and those skulls. I just want those. Basically, the neck is junk. I'd keep everything but the neck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's ugly.
I was gonna say, like, if I saw this listed locally for $125, I'd be like, I guess.
Like if PRS necks were birthed by a wild animal in litters, this is the one that wild animal would reject. Like the mother would reject this one.
Yeah.
It'd be like, this one's not going to make it. I'm going to take care of the others. Which is a super dark scenario to paint. Sorry, everyone who's listening. Move on to pick up the tab.
Yeah, this next tab is getting picked up by Runway Audio. Sorry, I'm trying to find something, but I'm not finding it, so that's fine. We're not talking about cables this week, Ryan.
All right, well, I'm holding their cable.
You can hold it anyway. One of the things that Runaway Audio does that I actually think is pretty cool, and it's not cool for everybody. Like some people think this is dumb, but I think when it's done right, I definitely understand why people do it. Is they specialize in creating pedal boards.
Oh yeah.
So they're in Nashville. So I guess if you're Nashville local, like you can hit them up. I am not 100%, but they do have a contact form. So I think if you really wanted to, you could ship them like all of your pedals.
Yeah.
And they just slap it on the board. And that's going to allow them to do for you is put together a pedal board that's going to be like super clean. They're going to like cut.
No troubleshooting issues.
They're going to build the patch cables to fit your board perfectly.
Make your board tour ready, you know? Make it bulletproof.
It's going to be, they can do a scratch setup. They can clean up an existing board. They can do clean cable management, which is like something that like I've tried to do. And I know people who do it really well, but I can definitely see why like you would want to pay somebody to do this.
My cable management game is a lot like my spaghetti game.
Yeah.
Or like my bacon cooking game. Like some people lay out slices in the pan or on a baking sheet and oven cook it. I just throw it all in the pan and I stir it up with a fork and just keep stirring it until it's done cooking. That's how I manage my cables.
Yeah. And
that's why you don't hire me to build your pedal board.
Gosh. Yeah, these guys know what they're doing. Again, they're in Nashville, city known for musicians. They've got all kinds of musicians there. So they've worked with like all kinds of stuff. Go check out their site if that's a thing that you're into, because the boards that they put together look really clean.
Go check them out on their website. We'll have a link down below.
Yep.
Nice transition. Yep.
I said yup too soon, and then it just got awkward.
Next question. Next topic. Gavin Van der Linden.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce the last name.
I think it is Van der Linden.
Van der Linden. How important is the mid-range of your sound? I feel like over the course of my guitar playing life, the opinion on mid-range has completely shifted from one side to the other. And now I think we're in a place where everyone's kind of in between and frankly more reasonable with their stance on mid-range. When I started playing guitar, I was like, get rid of them. Scoop those mids. You don't need mids.
Well, it's because everyone was trying to play nu metal.
You just need a chugga. It's going to sound so heavy when you scoop those mids. And there was like pedals and pieces of gear like specifically designed for you to scoop the mids in the most specific way possible.
Do you remember the Line 6 Insane mode?
Yeah. Like no mids at all. Like they're taking out lows and highs to avoid those mids.
I remember mixing a band at the Park Gallery, and one of their guitar players had a Line 6 stack. It was like the 100-watt head, spider head, and like a 4x12. And I'm sitting in the back corner, and he's just like, I can't hear my guitar. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, and he just like, I would go up there and like, I finally like went up, I looked at it and I was like, I didn't mess with it. I was like, I'm just whatever. But the thing was like so scooped that basically as soon as the entire band came in,
there's nothing left.
There's like, you just couldn't hear anything. It just sounded like a hive of bees.
Yeah. And then it shifted the other direction where people realized that they're like, oh, none of us can hear ourselves. Especially when we're playing leads. Like it's one thing to chugga and be kind of like in that mix.
Yeah.
But once you're playing leads, like everyone is like, I can't jump out of the mix. And then everyone was like, well, you got to boost those mids. And everyone's like, what? Yeah, those mids you've been scooping, try boosting them. And then everyone just got mid boost crazy. Now there's all these products and all these ideas about boosting your mids as high as you can. And everyone just sounds kind of muddy and quonky to make up a word on the spot. Not quacky, but quonky.
I can hear, I know what you're saying. There's like too much.
The reality is, it's like, yes, mids are important. Mids are where guitar tends to live in a mix with a band. But that doesn't mean boost them. It doesn't mean scoop them. It means be freaking appropriate with them.
Well, I think that's the big thing is like whether or not you need mids are completely dependent on everything that's like going on around you.
Yeah.
So like
what you want to accomplish.
If your drummer is like hi-hat, snare, kick drum primarily, other cymbals, then mids are where you want to be. As soon as you start getting like mid-tom or low-tom, like now you're in the same space. And same thing for like other instruments. Like if your bass player is playing more like higher notes and less like full bottom end, then your frequencies are going to start getting in the same space. Now, of course, like when you start thinking about harmonics, like I usually think of like boosting mids, or at least having present mids, is all about like maintaining harmonic richness. So it's kind of interesting, like in my head, what I think of as like mids, really has a lot, whether or not like your mids are boosted, have a lot to do with like your instrument. And I mean, so that's an important factor too, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're playing a Les Paul, you probably don't need to like be boosting the mids on your amp as much as you do if you're playing a Strat.
Sure, totally.
And on a Strat, at least with the amps that I've used, like boosting the mids on a Strat are going to like really accentuate like the high mids of like, the classic bell like tones of a Strat. Whereas on like on Les Paul, there's so many like, or like any humbucker equipped guitar, there's so much going on in like the harmonic ranges. And because those instruments, humbuckers in general, just tend to lack a little high end depending on how they're wound. But generally they tend to be more mid focused anyway. You're actually better off like scooping the mids a little and like bumping up the highs. Probably not bumping up the lows. Depends.
Well, the way I think about your three bands, your highs, your lows, your mids, is lows and highs kind of dictate the clarity of your signal. It's like you need to have those there to bookend your signal.
Right.
They just need to be there. They're not, the full personality of your guitar, but it's like having a picture without having black and white in the picture. Where the mids is where all the saturation, where all the color of the picture lives. I'm using a completely visual way of describing this, but like all the color in your frequencies happen in the mid ranges, from your low mids to your high mids. All the personality of your instrument kind of lives there, where the highs and the lows are just kind of what happens if you want to have a full signal.
Right.
Where your personality isn't really happening there. Like where the twang happens is in the high mids. Where, this barky growl happens is in the low mids, and that's really where the personality kind of dictates in your guitar signal. And it's not about so much boosting above the mix or being below the mix, although those can certainly be side effects of how you mix your mids. It's more about finding a good personality in your tone and having it work with your rig, I mean, there's times to scoop, there's times to boost, and there's other times when you're trying to shape it in a creative way to achieve, a certain tonality. I feel like this is the mature talk I should have given myself when I was 16.
It's the mature talk that like every 16-year-old needs.
That I wouldn't have understood at the time.
Right.
But now it seems so clear to me. Like, just be reasonable.
You can see clearly now. The rain is gone.
Just be reasonable with your mids. That's all I'm asking. Next, we've got a threesome of ads. We're going to try to...
No, Ryan. Next, we have housekeeping.
Housekeeping. After housekeeping, we're going to get into this threesome.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. This is a part of the show where we talk about the folks who are supporting us through patreon.com/60cycle Humcast. This week, we have... a few people. First is Cass Jason.
We're popular this week.
Hanowski, who's supporting us at the $1 level. Thanks, Cass Jason Hanowski.
You did it.
And at the $5 level, we have David Cornell, which is our best friends level. David Cornell.
A $5.
And Andrew Gray. We'll be sending them a little pick and sticker pack. And then at the $10 level, we have Elliot Longenecker.
We got them all. We got a 1, a 5, and a 10
level. I actually already put Elliot in the inner circle.
Damn, son.
Let's see what we got.
Here, let me pick this time. Let me pick.
You want to pick?
You picked last time. Let's give away one of these Hosa Gobi Labs cleaners.
There we go. This is a guitar polish and fingerboard conditioner.
What was this? Here, to go with the Hosa stuff, here is a set of Hosa keychains.
Oh, very cool. That's these are those keychains that you can plug into stuff.
Yeah, you can plug them into your amp and short out your amp.
Well, it's like isn't the whole thing like you can build a little thing?
Yeah, you could, make a little thing that these plug into. Oh, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, there's also a bunch of stickers and stuff. Do you just want to send one?
No, I want to see what this, because I haven't seen this kind before. Does it disconnect or something? Oh, it really just disconnects.
Oh, that's
that
funny.
way. Like it's got a 1/8" plug that plugs into. I mean, you could probably use this as an adapter.
That's a real adapter.
That's funny. Well, there you go. That's some fun stuff. Some Hosa swag.
So thanks for the support, Elliot, and thanks everyone who supports the show.
I got to recoup this. There's only a couple things left in here.
Good one, dude.
All right, so this threesome of ads, we decided to group them together because they're all just mangled acoustics. This first one is from Alex Marlowe, and it is a Fender Del Mar vintage custom Dog Electro acoustic guitar. I don't know what Dog Electro means.
I don't know, but it's got 2 single coil pickups. It's got some kind of trem.
It looks
vibrato.
like a Mustang.
It does look like a Mustang vibrato.
With a Jag arm in it. Look how long that arm is.
Yeah.
And in some kind of metallic bridge on top of the existing acoustic saddle.
It's got 4 knobs and a 3-way switch. This is
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
Remember when I put a humbucker in the sound hole of my old acoustic guitar?
I do.
The hugest issue with that is that there was no way to ground the strings.
Right.
Because the bridge isn't metallic. So what do you ground to? And so I had to come up with like a funky thing where like I would clip a thing onto the string just after the saddle.
Right.
And then I'd have to ground that one string.
I think I remember this.
It was bad.
I remember seeing that.
So this person has at least solved that issue because they'll be able to ground to that bridge.
Yeah.
Or to the trim. There's no way that trim is tuning stable that close to the bridge saddle. 500 euros, no pounds, 500 pounds they want for this.
Yeah, good grief. I don't think these old Fender acoustics generally are.
No, they don't.
Worth much. I mean, it's probably worth more than 500 pounds if it was intact, maybe, but not in this shape.
I'm gonna reverb it.
All right. Well, while
Fender
you're reverbing it,
Del Mar. Yeah, take us to the next one.
This next one is from Zach Ortiz. It's called Blurry Cigar Box. It's a 3-string cigar box electric guitar, hardtail bridge, Gibson Deluxe tuners, cedar and oak neck, hardwired output cable, internal springs, has a unique sound. So this is like somebody took a cigar box, but they basically did this themselves. The neck attaches to the box, and then they drew the rest of the fretboard onto the body of the box.
Yeah, those Fender Del Mars are like 200 at best.
This is a fretless guitar.
The cigar box?
Yeah, this is a fretless guitar.
The whole thing looks bad. Like I think the hobby of cigar box guitars is really interesting because there's people out there who are taking very basic materials and churning out instruments that actually look very clean and very charming.
This isn't one of them.
This is the complete other side of it, where this just looks like a hacked up pile of junk.
I posted 4 of the pictures from this.
You're right, it is fretless.
There were like 6 or 7 pictures. I think only one of them
Was in focus.
was actually in focus for something in the picture. And the thing that it was in focus on was like completely stupid.
The thing that's crazy about this is the neck is obviously homemade in some sort of way, right?
Yeah, the neck
Every
is
part,
like,
yeah, it looks wonky in every direction. They made it as wide. They made it wider than a 6-string neck
yeah.
for a 3-string guitar, and then they had to like bring the width in at the nut to meet the width of the flute of the the volute of the headstock,
which I think is also just probably handmade.
Well, the whole thing is handmade. It makes the neck look like a swollen sausage that's tied off at the headstock.
Yeah.
And this fretless with the fret markers drawn on with Sharpie, and then the Sharpie continues onto the body of the cigar box guitar.
Is this even actually, are cigar boxes normally made out of cardboard?
I think some of them are.
Because I guess when I think of cigar box guitars, I
You
always
think of a wooden cigar
like,
box?
like a wooden cigar box.
Remember that I sold a neck years ago. It was that old Rogue neck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Oh, I've got a project in mind for this." I was like, "Oh, cool. Send me a picture when you're done." He built this beautiful cigar box.
Oh, yeah?
Guitar out of it.
That would be perfect.
I wonder if I could find that email.
This is just so bad. You finally see where like the holes are in the last picture, where you can see one of the springs that's inside of this thing. And that hole,
I didn't know springs was a thing in cigar box guitars. Does that give it like a reverb effect?
I guess.
Or like a resonance or something like that?
I wonder if it's a thing or if it's just something this guy did.
Or maybe like if you shake it, it becomes like a percussive thing.
I mean, it does have like some kind of transducer in it, so I guess maybe it would pick that up. But even like,
I am kind of into those little half bridges though with the 3 saddles. Every time I see one of those pop up on Amazon or wherever, I'm like, man, I wish I had a project to build around that. The little 3-string half hardtail bridge. That's fun. I want to build a project around that. The rest of this though, throw it in the garbage. I mean, you build this for yourself. You never sell something like this. This guy wants $100. No way. No way.
Yeah, this is bonkers.
Get lost, dude. All right, and then the last one. We've got one more Mangled acoustic guitar. This is a winner.
Yeah, I actually think that this is like semi fun.
Another Fender.
It's just called Cool Acoustic. It's a smashed up guitar. It's from John Brigham. A smashed up guitar. Part of it's missing, but it's playable. Well, playable with a slide anyway. After this poor thing was smashed in a video shoot, I gathered up the pieces, glued and screwed them together, and reinforced where I could. Then I threw a Seymour Duncan broadcaster pickup to make a bad little electric slide capable of the nastiest blues sounds. The action is very high, so it's not ideal for standard playing, but for pure slide playing, it really delivers a good.
This is an acoustic guitar where the body has been cut off almost clean, like 3 inches south of the bridge. You don't need a stand for this. I love this picture where it's standing up on its own because it just sits on the ground flat.
So this is, so he says, played at a gig, watch jaws literally drop in reaction, impress your family and friends. And then the next line, another awesome feature is that it needs no guitar stand. It's a left-handed Fender San Miguel acoustic, currently strung left-handed, but can be easily restrung to play righty if you're not a lefty. Or even if you don't play, it's a great conversation piece.
These
sound clip of the broke-ass guitar added. So there's actually sound clips of this, as well as a link to the music video where this guitar was smashed.
At least this person had the sense to try to reinforce right around where the bridge is. There's a piece of wood going across there, but it's done with like screws through the top and the back of the guitar.
That's because they needed to attach a strap peg.
I think it's literally holding the guitar together though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it helps a lot.
There's something about these Fender acoustics with the Strat headstocks on them that people just feel an invitation to molest them. Remember the one that was at the old church upstairs office, Mike's old office? Yeah. It was literally screwed to the wall with the screws going through.
Really?
Screws going through the neck.
Jeez.
And through the body. Like why do people look at these guitars and decide, oh, I'm just going to trash it?
I can't tell if it's the angle of this. Oh, you know what? That makes sense because this probably has to do with the way it was repaired. It just looks like there's a huge bow in the top of the guitar.
Oh, I'm sure there is because it's missing like a third of the side support that the top and the back needs to hold itself up.
I would say
he said the action's bad. Like I believe it. There's no way that like the whole thing is probably the whole top of the guitar is flexing towards the nut right now.
Yeah. I will say, unlike So the first one, acoustic electric, I'm like kind of interested. Like if I saw that in a store, I'd be like, what's that all about?
Oh, I don't want any of this.
This blurry Cigar box, if I saw that in a store, I would just avoid. I think this is kind of a cool acoustic.
You like this?
It's dumb.
I would bring it out at parties, but I wouldn't keep that guitar to play it. Yeah, I say finish the job.
Finish the job.
You put it together enough to play it on stage. Smash it next time you're on stage. Finish it. You're keeping it going too long. I feel sad for it. Put it out of its misery. Get us out of here, Steve. Tell me about the song.
This song was sent by Matty Tyak. He says, please find attached. That's how I start my emails at work when I'm sending spreadsheets out. Please find attached a song to play on the show. I produced and played on this for my buddy Will Williams. It's called Moving On. Gear-wise, Will played my Gibson SJ Deluxe Acoustic, and I played a Telecaster through a Sanzap GT2 and a carbon copy for a bit of slap and tickle. Hope you enjoy it. You can find Will Williams' single on Bandcamp. This song is called Moving On.
I like it right off the bat.
Is this a Ween song?
Well, I'm leaving in the morning. Gonna take the early train. Make sure the coast is clear and get the fuck out of here before it all goes down the drain. There's no reason for me to stay here. You can't give
that came on my Pandora, I'd thumbs up it real
Oh, yeah.
quick.
Cool.
That was a great song.
Yeah. I
Good
like
one.
it.
I feel like now that we're commenting on the songs and listening to them in episodes, like people are sending us the really good stuff because people don't want us to trash their stuff. But I don't know. We can always find something good to say about anything, or maybe someday we'll get something so bad we're just like, I don't know, guys. What do you think? That was great. What do you think?
No, I liked it. That's very like, was it like a, I don't know, what would you call it? Like outlaw country, I guess?
Yeah, outlaw country.
Outlaw.
Ain't no rules. Ain't no laws. Just get out there.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. What?
I bet he was drinking claws when he made that
You ever
song.
drink a claw?
I drank a claw.
All right.
I got about 2/3 of the way through it, and I got very tired of it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh man, I got to finish this
Did
thing.
you just throw it out the side of your car?
Well, yeah, because there ain't no laws.
Exactly.
But the moment it was
Don't
out,
drink and drive.
the moment it was outside the window, I was not drinking it anymore. So suddenly, laws applied to me again.
Whoa.
It was a paradox.
Weird.
Yeah.
I
Don't let go of that claw. Sip it real slow, so the laws don't catch up to you. That's what I'm saying. All right, bye everyone. Stay grounded.
See ya.